Bearwalker by Joseph Bruchac. Chapter 7. Stories about bears. Wherever you go, Indians have stories about bears. And bears are a lot like people. They walk on two legs at times, and when a bear is skinned, it looks like a naked human being. Bears eat some of the same food that people do. They even have the same illnesses. The strongest of the old medicines among my own Mohawk people were supposed to have been given to us by the bears. People watched what the bears ate when they had certain sicknesses, because they found that eating those same medicinal plants would make people get better too. My dad and mom once took me to the Six Nations Indian Museum in the little northern Adirondack town of Ochiota. It's on the other side of the Adirondack Mountains from where we are, over to the northwest near Saranac Lake. It's one of the old-style Indian museums, not like one of those big new ones funded with casino money. The Six Nations Museum was built by a Mohawk elder named Ray Fadden, constructed by him and his relatives with their own hands. It's a big old log cabin in the shape of the longhouse. It's only open in the summer because it doesn't have modern heating or air conditioning. Its only climate control is a wood stove. Simple as it is, though, it's full of information about the history and culture of our Iroquois people. The walls and even the ceiling beams are hung with so many things: posters and wampum belts, gustaways, the traditional feathered cap our men wear, moccasins, clothing of all kinds, that you feel dizzy trying to take it all in. Ray Fadden had been a teacher at Akwesasne back when my mom and dad's parents were young people. In fact, he taught all four of my grandparents. He was their favorite teacher because he passed on so much about our old ways at a time when everyone else was turning away from our traditions. Finally, he quit teaching and built a museum to keep on sharing those old ways with the new generations. Being taken to his museum by my mom and dad was kind of a family tradition, even though Mr. Fadden himself, who was in his 90s by the time I went there, was living in an elder care facility up on the reservation. The best part about the place for me was the stories that Mr. Fadden's son, Kahiones, told us. He'd been an art teacher in the Saranac Lake schools, but he was now retired and had taken on his father's job of keeping the museum open in the summers. Some of those stories were very old, but the ones I liked best were the ones about his dad and the animals, especially the bears. Food had become scarce for the birds and animals because of the acid rain in the Adirondacks, so for years and years, Ray Fadden provided food for the animals in the woods he owned all around the museum. He would buy birdseed and had an arrangement with the markets to pick up their food scraps. Sometimes as many as 30 black bears would come to the big rock back in the woods where he placed food for them. He never fed them by hand, or followed them around, or tried to make them into pets. He respected them too much for that. But he sort of learned how to talk their language. There are all kinds of vocalizations that bears use. Like, there is a growl a bear makes to warn you to keep away. And when a bear is greeting you in a friendly way, it kind of sways its head back and forth and makes a kind of sound. A little smile came over Kahione's face as he told us how whenever his father met a bear in the woods, he would do that. Bend over and sway back and forth and go, and the bear would do it back to him. Then they would each go their own way. Bears also hoot to each other, just like owls. There are some sounds that can mean you're in danger. The first is a deep cough that is a threat. Get away from me or else, is what it means. And then there is actually a sort of whistling, chirping sound that a mother bear uses when she is calling her cubs. You need to walk away from that sound too. The worst place anyone can be is between a mother bear and her cubs. Kahiones took us out behind his father's house and pointed out the big rock where the bears came to eat. So much fat had soaked into it over the years that it shone in the sun like it was made of glass. But we stayed way back from it because it was the bear's place and not ours. And we didn't see any bears that day. Mom and Dad promised me they would take me back to the Six Nations Indian Museum again. But that autumn, my dad was sent to Afghanistan and never came back. And then the summer after that, Mom did her first tour in Iraq. So most of what I have learned about bears since then has been from books and TV shows on the Animal Planet channel. You can learn a lot from books, my dad said to me. Just remember that books are like people. Dad was always saying things like that. He didn't elaborate about what he meant, but I think I understand. Just like people, books don't have all the answers. They can be right or wrong, honest or dishonest. But you can always learn something from both people and books, even those that try to deceive you, as long as you figure out that is what you're trying to do. One of the things I learned from books that I believe to be true is that in the right way of things, the bears walk their way and we humans walk ours. When someone joins the bears, it is only because things are not right with the world. Like in that story I mentioned to Mr. Mack. When a child is lost, the bears may take that child in for a while. But the right way for the story to end is for the child to go back to being a human, carrying with them what they've learned from their stay among the bears. But if someone who is a grown-up strays into the territory of the bears, then the results will not be good. Death may be what follows. Bearwalkers. That is what the Ojibwe people who live near the Great Lakes call those who choose to put on the skin of the bear, to gain power in that way, and to be corrupted by that power in turn. When you become both a human and a bear, your double heart is no longer seeing the light as either humans or bears do. It was from a book that I learned that to become a bearwalker, you have to sacrifice one of your own family. Blood for power, and then power calling for more blood. All of that has gone through my mind as Mr. Mack keeps talking. Then he turns his gaze toward the back of the crowd and makes a wide gesture with his hand, sort of like a ringmaster about to bring in the lion tamer. Now let me introduce a very important member of our staff. He's been off setting up the primitive camping area so you have not met him yet. He's new to us this year, but he brings a very special kind of knowledge our way. He's our wilderness expert, the one who will be taking you into the woods, and Mr. Mack chuckles as he makes what he thinks is a sly little joke, bringing most of you back again. Our own Native American tracker, Walker White Bear. Everyone else applauds. I don't. I don't even want to look back, but I do. And there, stepping out of the woods behind us, is the one I knew I'd see. The grisly necklace that he wears looks as if each bear claw is tipped with blood.